Hey guys, it's Mitch. How's it going? So we're going over page 2 of issue 4. This is sort of a catch-up page, really. This is filling in General Rancor as to what happened in issue 3. Because, of course, he wasn't there. This is Hawkstab reporting to his commanding officer, that kind of thing. So just before we get into it, if you enjoy the channel, you feel like you might want to help out a little bit, go over and subscribe on my Patreon. Links are in the description. So, yeah, it's just going to be, this is mostly an exposition page. I feel like you need this every once in a while. This is, I'm trying to at least partially abide by Jim Shooter's credo of every issue being somebody's first issue. Even though, most likely, if you're reading this one, you probably read the other ones before it. But, doesn't hurt to just add a little extra exposition every once in a while. And it helps to break up the, all the punching and flexing and fighting. So, we, this bit here is Rancor. I mean, I think at this point, he usually expects Hawkstab's reports to be at least somewhat disappointing. Like, it's like, man, these aren't nearly as awesome as they could be. They're always way too technical. And I mean, he sent him away to go and just bodyguard Maxtremis while she attends a hearing, like where they're trying to decide whether or not to allow Maxtremis's people to settle on Earth. So when it turns out that Hawkstab and Maxtremis accidentally got in a fight with Nightstick, he's kind of, it's like, hey, all right, some extra awesomeness happened that I wasn't expecting. And so yeah, that's what's with the smirk. And you gotta try and find ways to try and make these kind of panels interesting at least, which is tough because it's mostly mid shots or close-ups of heads, and they're just kind of talking and not necessarily having the most dramatic expressions. I'm still trying to convince myself to give people extremely dramatic expressions regardless of context. So, yeah, it's just kind of a going over details of a meeting, but someone could still have like an incredulous look on their face, and I can't quite convince myself to get there yet. Hopefully soon. And this panel on the right here, I'm trying to make it, I don't know, like a little bit clear that the elevator, because the deal with this page, Rancor walks out of the elevator, Hawkstab goes, General, and okay, yeah, sure, I guess I gotta talk to you now. And, the elevator doors close behind him, and, they talk for a little bit. They start walking towards the next part of the office, and then the elevator doors open behind them again, and Knife and Gun Show start to walk out. They just they just know where the headquarters is for Blood Force. The guys here, Rancor and Hawkstab, they wouldn't know why, but I don't think that comes up, and that probably should at some point. So maybe that deserves a little bit of a rewrite. I don't know. I'd have to go over that later. Bottom here, I like these shots of the feet from behind. That's not a shot I usually do, and I'm always a little bit like, I'm not sure if I know how to draw feet from that angle, but those look pretty good, so I guess I'm figuring it out. And a nice use of black there, which is always welcome, of course, particularly in this setting, which is, a lighted lobby. So it's not always the easiest to get dramatic, but it's a little bit easier if you don't necessarily care about realistic ambient light. And this middle panel here, probably going to be the weakest out of the whole page, really, which is not preferable. I mean, this is the one that's probably going to get the most attention, at least early on, right? Because it's front and center. It's a big shot revealing a reasonably big shot revealing both of our guys here. And they're just kind of in, somewhat weak poses. It's like, all right. And this is before I'm, again, convincing myself, always having to talk myself into making this comic more awesome. You'd think it'd come naturally, but no, I tend to veer more towards, like, naturalistic. And it's like, no, that's the wrong instinct. Yeah, see, like, this pose here from Rancor is boring and kind of weak. I think it's mostly okay because a lot of this panel gets covered up with word balloons, actually. As I said, this is the exposition panel, so, but, and as the guy who does both the art, the writing, and the lettering, I can decide whether or not, yeah, no, this panel isn't as, the art isn't as crucial as I might have originally thought. I can cover up large portions of it with lettering if I want to, and yeah, I think I do in this case. And yeah, kind of a boring background. It's just kind of tile, and I'd like to put a bit more in there, but again, I did have to leave room for lettering, so I think there's a lot of guesswork at this point. I don't put in like an approximation of how, like how big of a word balloon might have to be there, which isn't the best because some of these ones got pretty cramped. So it's always still kind of a learning process. This is the shot of Rancor walking out of the elevator. I decided to throw in a moment of just like casual assholeness as Rancor was like, when he arrives in the elevator, he's smoking a cigar because he's Nick Fury essentially, and then walks out into the lobby here and flicks his cigar away, yeah, right there, because why not? It's his lobby. He can decide to do that if he wants. I kind of don't mind this shot, like the angle and everything. Definitely get the impression it's low, and that does make it a bit more difficult. I'm trying to get Hawkstab to, just flex it up there. Not your ass too much. just the rest. Really swoosh that hair around too. It doesn't, yeah. Works out okay, I guess. That was what it was. The blades there. I'm trying to remember to make those things more Jay Lee-ish. And so like random blade, like just random swoops all over the place. Maybe even put like extra blades hanging off the end of them because what? That's a Jay Lee thing to do. Still got to be a little careful because it's not like you can just incorporate Jay Lee elements into this particular style. And kind of made up this plant on the fly and was like, that's an okay looking plant. And it's just I always have trouble drawing plants, so when I can come up with one that looks all right, it's like, holy shit, what did I just learn something? And yeah, leather chair background, everything. We're focusing a bit more on being a bit more diligent about backgrounds because, why not? I'm going heavy on the rendering on the figures most of the time. So, if you do that and then you put like very basic backgrounds behind it, it's like you're not fooling anybody at that point, It's like, okay, no, we know you can put in the time. You just don't want to because like, it's not fun, but like, you want the comic to look good, right? Like we can see that. So if maybe just put in some extra backgrounds. Yeah, walking off to the office here. Oh, flipping through some Infinity Gauntlet first, though. And yeah, just about done now. Just gotta do panel number 1 now. Always leave the... Okay, I don't think I left the least interesting panel for last in this case. This is a pretty easy panel to do, and it's just a shot of Rancor arriving in the office from very far away. Again, that might not have been preferable, thinking about it. But again, I have a tendency to think of these things a bit more cinematically, where it's, what kind of shot would you go for to introduce your character? Well, a bit of a wide, so that, you can see him show up and, like, get a bit of a sense of the background and make it a little bit dramatic, that kind of thing. I think I kind of have to go this way, because if you go any closer, you don't really have any idea what the fuck is going on. Like if it's just torso up, it's like, okay, so we're on Rancor, and he's somewhere. And then, oh, okay, he's in a lobby. It's a slightly easier transition if, you see it's an elevator. And I think the narration kind of helps that out a little bit too. Anyway, this is the finished page here. I almost want to put up the version with all the word... Fuck it, I'm going to put up the version with all the word balloons. Just so you can see how much of this thing got covered. Maybe I'll put them up side by side. That's a good idea. Because, like, man, there was way more writing on this page than I expected there to be. It doesn't look like a lot when I see it on the page, but then you try and shrink it down, and it's like, holy fucking shit. I think the middle left panel was the worst, trying to figure out how to fit these things in there. So, it's a lot, but I think it reads okay, and I don't think it's too confusing, the balloon placement. Like I said, I'm still kind of figuring this part of things out. I'm not used to putting actual word balloons on shit. I just draw the pages, man. I just draw the things the writer tells me, and I'm also the writer. But there's never been an indication before that these were intended to be finished pages, so this has never been a consideration up to this point. I don't know who I'm trying to convince myself of this. Anyway, this is Blood Force. It's a lot of drawing, and then a lot of covering it up with a lot of words. And at the end of the day, I think I'm just kind of counting on the drawings being good enough and the words being silly enough that you want to turn the page. So I guess we'll find out if that's the case when this eventually gets published. It'll happen, trust me. But anyway, that's going to do it for this one. So thanks very much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notifications so you know when the next one's coming out. Go over and subscribe on my Patreon. It gives you early access to everything I do, from the Blood Force stuff to the YouTube videos before they get uploaded to YouTube, as well as some Patreon exclusive content. You can also follow me on Instagram and DM me there for commissions. And you can join the Blood Force Discord server. Musical guest Counting Crows. Sorry, I just realized I was kind of slipping into announcer voice there. Anyway, as I said, that'll do it. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.